Okay, a few more thoughts on the crossbows. First, the arrows, or bolts, some people call them. Doesn't matter what I call them. Two fletching is typical for medieval style because they don't have the groove in the bottom for the third feather. Works fine, so that's what we use. If you look close at the back end of the nock, I don't know if you can quite see it, but they're flattened a little bit on the sides. And that is so it fits between the fingers of the nut. I suppose I could make it a little wider between the fingers and leave it round, but that's also sort of traditional method for the nocks to be shaped. They're the ones I make. I just buy oak dowels from a local store, 3/8 of an inch diameter. Buy them in 3-foot lengths, cut them in half. I get 2 out of each one. Probably 50-60 cents a piece for shafts. And that's pretty much with the bolts. Now about the bows. This is my working man's crossbow. Very generic for a medieval bow. It has a typical tickler long trigger, and it has the rotating nut. I have one here or not, but anyway. Open at the bottom, you can actually look right up inside there and see. I don't know if the lighting is good enough for this, probably not. But you would be able to look up inside there and you could see how the tickler is Z-shaped and it catches a notch in the bottom of the nut. And when you squeeze it, it lets that go down, lets the nut go forward, and then the string goes off. That is a pretty typical medieval crossbow release mechanism. Some of the earlier ones just went into a notch that got pushed up by a peg. Then later on it came up with more sophisticated release systems. The front end, this has a fiberglass prod. Commonly you can buy these, they come from China. But they're cheap, they work well, and the other difference with this crossbow from an original is this is designed with a much longer power stroke from where the string's resting now back to the nut. So on this bow is about 10 inches. That's almost double what the average medieval crossbow is. They were usually 5-6 inches, but then the bows themselves were steel. They didn't like to be bent that far, and to compensate for that they were much heavier draw weights. 600-700 pounds, not uncommon. The other method's a little different on mine is I have the prod fastened in a mortise with a pair of wedges. That really didn't become popular until much later, probably 16th, 17th century. The earlier ones were simply tied in place. I have another crossbow here I could show you what that looks like. Here we go. This one has a steel prod, 205 pounds of draw weight. But you'll notice right away, let's turn it this way so you can see it better, it's tied in the front. And the cordage passes through this hole that's bored in there. And it's wound back and forth. And then it's cinched up with this, I use artificial sinew, and it pulls the binding tight together and then literally like clamps the bow in place. That is a much more traditional of early crossbows. And then later on they developed what they call bow irons with wedges that held it in place. So there's more than one way. This crossbow is a little, like I talked about the shorter power stroke, this only has a power stroke of 8 inches. So it's quite a bit shorter. Have a little safety on this one. You can see that right here, this little like hinge deal here. See that? Spring loaded. You can't squeeze it. You pull that back with one finger and then you can squeeze the tickler with the other fingers. So it's a nice little, good for hunting, almost necessary. The working man's crossbow, there are no frills, nothing fancy, so they don't have one. Some of the other crossbows you might see on the top, they'll have another colored piece of wood or ivory or bone or some kind of plate like that to give it a smooth, slick surface. Again, mine, I haven't done that, just trying to keep them simple and basic. No sights. The bolt clip on this and the other one, it's made from PVC pipe, just heat formed, kind of simulate horn, which was a horn, or they sometimes use steel or whatever to hold the bolt in place. When you aim down, it didn't slide off. Another thing, I was looking for another nut. Anyway, medieval nuts, the part that hold back the string. On my crossbow, I make them out of wood. They're wide. They're about 1.5 inches wide. And the grains run in the right way for strength. But authentic medieval crossbows, generally they use a piece of the base of an antler, the stem of an antler, which is very hard, and they would put a metal insert and would use that as the roller nut. So mine don't have that. Mine are made out of wood. I've made a few of them using just wood. Seems to be working fine. I haven't broken any. So again, I try to be careful with what I use material wise, make sure it's good stuff. And the other one, this one, of course you notice there's metal side plates on it, but it has a roller nut. It looks like bone or ivory or something like that, but actually it's a piece of Delrin. It's kind of a plastic, and that works as well. Works good too. Now you saw I cocked my crossbows by hand. This can also be used with a modern rope cocker, which is what the groove in the back is for. It has a pair of hooks on the front. The rope comes back over the stock down the other side. Has a couple pull handles on it. Put your foot in the stirrup, pull up on the handles, and it makes the effort half as hard to pull back. But with this draw weight, I don't find them too difficult to draw. Some of the original medievals with extremely heavy draw weights, they had to use windlasses in the back, or they use a crank device to get them back, because it was the only way you could ever cock them. And that's just some of the general information on my crossbows. Thank you.